Welcome back to another video. My name is Stacy and I am the creator of Twisted Kinks Crochet. It has been a while, my friends, since I posted a video, and we can chalk that up to a couple of things. Lack of motivation, lack of proper planning in my very first video when I talked about how often I wanted to post and not really taking into consideration the edit time that it takes. And then there are some life events that have taken place. So it's taken me off of crochet, which is taking me away from posting videos. But I'm back now, and we'll talk about some of those updates, and we'll talk about what's over my shoulder at the table and what I'm going to be doing, what recent project that I'm going to embark on. So let's go over to the table. Let's talk about the dolls. Let's talk about what I'm reading. And then we'll get back into the life updates. Thank y'all for being here. Okay, so if you remember in one of my past videos, I was talking about a doll that I was making for one of my nieces. And I've made a couple since that video. And then I've made a couple more since then. So I made the one doll for my one niece, and then I had a graduate niece, and so I did a look-alike doll for her, and that's one of the life events that kind of took me away from crocheting. The graduate and planning her, events and the festivities. That kind of took me away. Like, I didn't have the motivation to crochet because I was involved in making sure that everything was going to go well for her graduation. So there's her graduation doll. And then after I did that, I did another look-alike doll. So I called them my Just Like Me dolls. And I did another one for a niece. I'll try to insert a picture somewhere in here if I can. And then she went, as a matter of fact, you can check out my short, because after I got those dolls done, I took a trip to Virginia to deliver the dolls and see family. So you'll see the travel vlog for the dolls. So I did the second one, which is a doll with the tutu, for another niece, delivered that. And that was another life event that took place, the trip to Virginia. And then I had a couple other nieces who have daughters, and one has daughters and the other one has sons, but they wanted dolls for themselves, and the one niece wanted dolls for her daughters. So this is one. This is just like the picture that I was sent. And this is the Lola doll. This is the Lola doll. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not so sure about the lips. So I sent the picture of the Lola doll to her mom, and she was like, "Oh, I love it." And I expressed my concerns, and she was like, "No, it's fine, it's fine." So we're leaving that. And then this is the Camille doll. And again, I'm just not a fan of the lips. So as you can see on the graduate doll, she doesn't have lips because at the time I wasn't doing them. And then somebody said, "Ooh, you should try to do lips." So that's what I did. And then, but on the Camille doll, I don't like it. So I'm probably going to take them off. And it looks like she has a mustache almost. Anyway. And the other thing about the dolls is that, I use the same pattern for all of the dolls. So the Camille doll looks so much smaller, right, than the Lola doll and the graduate doll. So I'm really not sure what the issue is with that. It's all the same. All the same yarn, all the same hooks. Exact same pattern. And it may just be because Lola has on a full outfit, right? Shorts, shirt. She has to get some shoes because in the picture she has some white sandals. And Camille only has a skirt. So that might be what the difference is. I don't know. And as you can see, the graduate doll has the dress and the whole cape. cap and gown and all that stuff. So that might be what's making them look a little bit bigger. But at any rate, those are the dolls that I've completed. I still have 2 more dolls to do and some accents that I need to put on each one of these dolls. Like Lola needs the ears and the sandals, and Camille needs to get the mouth off, and I think that's it. That's it for her. I thought about the whites of the eyes on the Camille doll, but that wasn't turning out right either, so figured another plan. Okay, so I do want to give a shout out to Hooked by Quee for the crochet hooks that I ordered. These are resin. They are handmade by her. I got a set of 3, and you can pick the sizes that you want. You tell her how many you want. She does 1, a set of 3, and a set of 5, I believe. I will stop here on her QR code. So if you want to try to scan that, you can. That's the information. And great service. They got here quickly. And the only thing that I will say is that if you are not familiar with your hook sizes, this resin kind of obscures the hook size. So, you'll have to label it yourself, or, if you know, then you know. As an experienced crocheter, you'll know. But those, I saw them come across Facebook, and I said, I'd rather, help a small business and get some of her cute hooks than to purchase from Furls, because I really have wanted Furls, and I probably will get some or one. But in the meantime, I decided to support a small business, and her hooks are just as pretty, if not prettier, and I was able to pick out the color that I wanted and get them custom for me. So there's that. And the last thing on the table is the book that I'm currently reading. So in one of my past videos, I was talking about reading, getting back to being more consistent with reading and making a crochet granny square for every book that I read. So to match the cover of every book that I've read. And that eventually, I think I said by July, I wanted to read about, I think I said 9, because I'm visualizing in my head what a book bag would look like. So once I got finished reading the 9 and crocheting the granny squares for each one of those books, I would turn that into a book bag. Help keep me motivated. And then at the end of it all, I would have something tangible that would represent my reading for 2025. Again, I kind of slacked off, but not too bad. Like, it's September, and I probably have 2 books left to hit my 9. So I'm not mad at that. But this book is called Did You Hear About Kitty Karr? And it is by Crystal Smith Paul. And if you know the movie Imitation of Life, it's kind of in the same vein as that. Kitty Karr is a movie star who passed away, left her fortune to 3 sisters, and Kitty Karr is white passing, and then the 3 sisters are black. So you kind of go through the story from Kitty Karr's time as a young adult and how she became this movie star, and then the dynamic of the sisters and their mother, and then eventually how and why Kitty Karr would have left her fortune with millions to the sisters. So yeah, it's a very interesting read. It's a pretty quick read if you can devote the time to it, and can't wait to get to the end to see how all this is tied up and into a nice little bow. But there they are, the dolls, and like I said, I call them the TK dolls, just like me dolls. The hooks that I purchased and the book that I'm reading. And let's get back and talk a little bit more about the life updates. Okay, so I think that's it. We talked about the dolls. We talked about the dolls with lips, with or without. So I need y'all to do me a favor and leave me a comment and let me know what you think about the lips. Is it a yay or a nay? And if there's something that I could do to improve that, leave that in the comments as well. We talked about the crochet hooks, and maybe I'll try to find, maybe I'll try to link. If there's a, I'll link her contact information in the description so you can check them out for yourself. And then we talked about the book. Did you hear about Kitty Karr? And again, if you have not seen the movie Imitation of Life, highly suggest that you check that out. This book is in the same vein as that movie. It's about white passing and wow, just colorism. Check it out for yourself. I do hope that you get this book, and if you're, a reader, an avid reader, or just, need something to do, check that out. I think this was her first novel, so I'll be looking to see if there are any additional ones after this one. We talked about my trip to Virginia a little bit. So I hadn't been to Virginia in a while. Whenever I do go, because I do our family history and I'm so into the genealogy and working on our family tree, whenever I do go, I try to make sure that I use part of that trip for research. This trip in particular, one of the things that I wanted to do was to take my mother and her sister to Fort Bragg, which is now called Fort Liberty, North Carolina, to visit the 82nd Battalion Museum and Monument. So their oldest brother was in the military. My mom was very young when he passed away, so she did not remember what she thought she knew about his passing. She wasn't completely sure about. So we figured out what happened, when he passed away, how he passed away, and subsequently found out that because he was involved in a training accident, killed in a training accident, his name was added to their monument to fallen soldiers. And so once we found that out, I wanted to take her there so that I wanted to visit it myself personally, because I do so much of this work. And he was a subject that really, it just kept nagging at me, because I couldn't figure out what happened, when his death date was, and what happened, what was surrounding his death. And I was looking in all the wrong places. So let me add this right here. If you do genealogy and you are stuck on a military person in particular, do what you can to get the military records. Now, there are stipulations and criteria, so you may or may not be able to, but don't overlook the military records, because that's how I found out what happened with the oldest brother. And we were able to put the right story together and go honor him there in North Carolina at the monument. So that was my trip to Virginia. I'm so proud of that work, and I'm so happy that we were able to take my mother and her sister to honor him. And then, so we talked about all of that. And then, what am I doing next? So hopefully more videos. But I do have a couple more dolls that I need to work on. And then I have a baby blanket that I'm going to do. So we'll work on that together. We'll talk about the stitch that I use and how that all comes together. Whenever I'm asked to do a baby blanket, that is my go-to pattern. Unless the person asks for something specific, that's the blanket that they're going to get. And so we'll be working on that. So we'll come back and maybe work on that blanket together. And then I think that's it. I don't really have anything great coming up. The holidays are upon us. Maybe we'll do some Halloween stuff. We'll talk about pumpkins, because I do have a bunch. That is my nickname, by the way. But I do have a bunch of pumpkins stored around here somewhere. So we will talk about that. and then what we plan to do for the holidays. So, thank you guys. Thank you guys for sticking around. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much. Consider liking, subscribing, and please leave a comment about the doll mouth or lips. And I will meet you guys back here for the next video. And I promise it won't be such a long hiatus. Y'all take care. Bye.